let's continue exploring what can change perception across two people. You brought up different mental states. So what if someone takes a drug, psychedelic?
Good example.
How does that change your perception of reality? What happens in the brain when you take a drug?
So we said psychedelics.
Let's start with psychedelics.
Say acid.
Okay.
Acid we understand probably the best. It's a long story, but I'll make it brief. There's a serotonin receptor subtype that activates particularly for reasons that we don't understand if a psychedelic, specifically acid, is applied. Those neurons are usually quiet. They have this like lock and key mechanism, but if acid showed up, they get active. And they gate, and I'm happy to, by the way, for all of these papers, I will, please do add them so people don't think I'm just making this up.
Right.
There's a paper that shows that these neurons activate, that if they have these 2HT5, I think, something 5, that activate only if they're gated by this. And they're glutamatergic. So basically, glutamater is released once they're gated by the serotonergic neurotransmission, and otherwise they're quiet. And you get these cascades, which are the spirals, and that's why you see these things and these hallucinations. But the reason we know that hallucinations, if you have 5 people there, and one of them takes acid, the other 4 don't see the spiral. That's how we know that is their own personal hallucination and does not correspond to reality. So basically, reality is our consensus that we all can see the table good. So that's probably real.
It's a shared network effect.
It's a shared hallucination. And what I mean by that is...
You said in your Wired video that The Matrix is not a movie, it's a documentary.
100%.
A chilling statement, Professor.
No, it's true. I stand by that. There's no question that The Matrix is a documentary. And what I mean by that is that your brain, and it's actually hilarious, it's even called The Matrix.
Yeah.
Given how important matrix multiplication has become and all that, the transformer architecture in the last 20 years since the movie came out. But in all seriousness, your brain creates your matrix for you, and you are getting this virtual reality basically that's created specifically for you by your brain. And often that does correspond because our brain is very similar. That makes sense? The reason we agree there's a table here is because your brain and my brain, first of all, there is something out there in objective reality that evokes that pattern, yes? But evokes it similarly in your brain and my brain because our brains are so similar. Let's give an example. Have you talked about the tree in the forest last show?
No.
Okay. Do you remember the old conundrum about if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound?
The question about realism, yeah.
Well, we now know the answer to that. We actually know.
Oh, we spoke about this.
So we spoke about it. So the idea is the tree falling does create a sound pressure wave.
Yeah.
But what perception is evoked, what sound is evoked, strongly depends on the nervous system. If 2 people are there, which have roughly the same auditory system, they probably can agree that yes, a tree fell. A moth might not notice.
We covered elephants,
spiders, exactly. So my point is, because our brains are so similar, we agree on the rough aspects of this. But then ever so often, that's why these stimuli like Laurel and Yanny and the rest are so important. Then you can see actually our brains are similar, but they're not the same. And then how your brain is wired determines how you see or hear this or that.